The Embezzlement of Ethnic and Religious Minorities in the United States by the USDA, by FinalvideoKayhart. The USDA is a collection of various government agencies which use federal tax dollars to fund various organizations relating to agricultural production as well as food redistribution within the United States. They protect the interests of a large amount of private industries using public funds. If you go onto their webpage, USDA.gov, you can find just how many agencies encompasses the USDA. It can be quite difficult to navigate with a large amount of verbiage related to each agency. We will further investigate a few of these agencies further along in the video. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, focusing on a few topics of concern. Their budget in 2020 is estimated to be $120 billion. A few agencies are related to wildlife conservation. If you dig deeper into their webpage related to wildlife, you can see that they are also involved in the removal of wildlife, which includes native species in the United States deemed detrimental to the income of private landowners who rent land from the American public on public lands existing throughout the United States. They cover a lot of agricultural subsidies, numbering $22 billion in the US. This is public money redistribution to private individuals, the dairy industry receiving a lot of these funds, which both subsidizes dairy farmers and the feed that they buy to feed their cows. A lot of this money coming from the public is of concern because a large part of the population is lactose intolerant. And a large percent of these lactose intolerant people are predominantly ethnic minorities. As can be seen for this graphic, a majority of people of color are lactose intolerant. This is a form of misappropriation for funds because essentially ethnic minorities are paying for cheaper dairy products for Caucasian Americans. Dairy alternatives with much lower allergy rates compared to cow's milk are not subsidized, even though they are a much more inclusive alternative. The majority of crops that are subsidized are feed crops, which are fed to cows, pigs, and chickens, resulting in artificially lower meat prices. The largest crop in the US being produced is corn, which is also used to make high fructose corn syrup. Soy is predominantly used as animal feed as well as the global soy production. Fruits and vegetables, surprisingly, are only covered 3% of the US farmland and are not subsidized at all, despite of a relative obesity epidemic as well as food deserts around the United States. which also disproportionately affect ethnic minorities. So healthy food is not subsidized and unhealthy food is subsidized. Other minorities have to pay for subsidized meat products, which they don't use. For Jews and Muslims don't eat pork, for example, as well as vegan and vegetarians who subsidize meat products as well. Public lands in the US are rented out to cattle ranchers at a relatively cheap rate, and the Wildlife Services offers wildlife removal for these ranchers that use public land. So they use public funds to remove native animals on the United States public lands. And they do this using a variety of methods, which are quite cruel. And all of these products and methods and workers are all paid by the American public, regardless if they buy products from ranchers or not. One lethal weapon called M44 sprays cyanide into the mouths of predators, which is not only lethal for wildlife, but also poses a public safety concern, as it is a poisonous gas, which did injure one boy in 2017, who sadly his dog passed away when it detonated one of these cyanide bombs. And this all occurred on public lands, which is a violation of philosophical beliefs of many Americans who have their tax dollars used to fund these programs which don't agree with their beliefs. So that's why I believe the American public are being embezzled for certain procedures that are undertaken by the USDA. Thank you.